Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Bad League Bad Pods podcast. I'm Zach. I'm here with Ben, and we're doing an early morning episode this week. Ben, how you doing?
I'm good, man. A little crazy here at work today, but hey, it's all under control. Made it to the recording, so all is well. Feeling good this morning. How about you?
Yeah. Well, this is. I. It's not that early for me, but I could not go to sleep last night. It was the weirdest thing.
Adrenaline,
Um.
baby.
Super annoying, but um. Yeah, so because of that, it feels like it's like 6 a.m. for me, but whatever. We're here. We're moving through it. Um,
We
we
made it. We're good.
we raced at Pocono last night. Um,
Oof, what a night.
yeah, it was pretty eventful for a lot of people. So I'll let you go first. Talking about how your race went.
Yeah, it was a disappointing finish to the night. I really felt like I had such a good chance. I believe I said to Dylan last night that very rarely do I have races where I feel like I'm maybe the fastest guy.
Mm,
And I need to take advantage of those and get good finishes on those when it happens. And I was unable to do so last night. I had a lot of speed. I felt really fast. I felt really, really good on the long runs. I was catching everybody and just making passes, like, making it easy. And I just felt like I was really, really fast on these long runs and like I don't think I've ever had a feeling where if I think with that race stayed green, I could have won by a huge margin. That's how good I felt last night. The car felt perfect. The setup, the track, everything I was doing felt good. Um, I felt like I was shifting. I would start shifting about 7 or 8 laps into a run
mm,
in turn one and turn three, and I felt like I was better than the other guys who were shifting at doing so, and better than anybody who wasn't shifting. So I think that was a huge part of my evening was the fact that late in those runs I was able to get those shifts dialed in, get really good exits because of it, and gain a lot of ground. I thought it was funny that there were a couple times when I'd pass guys on one run, and I think they would hear what I was doing.
mm-hmm.
And then the next time that I went to go by those guys, I would hear them shifting when they weren't the first time. I don't know if that's actually what happened or not, but I know that Dylan said that he didn't realize he needed to do so until about halfway through the race. And towards the end, it definitely sounded like there were quite a few people who were doing so. But
Yeah.
I felt that was a huge advantage for me early on. There were even times where if I was around somebody, I wouldn't shift because I didn't want them to hear that um, while I was trying to pass everybody. So, yeah, just disappointing to come home 14th, but um, deserved. We'll cover more in our Combs polls, but
Mm,
I drove a little bit like an idiot at times and got some revenge for that. So I can't really be too upset at a bad finish because the racing gods got me for driving like an asshole at certain points of the night. I got my karma and wound up finishing
mm.
14th. So tough night, but I'm gonna take the positives away of how fast I was and felt really, really good and just try to ride that out. My point in the points, I'm feeling like my chances are a lot lower than they were going into this race, and I could have made something really good happen last night. So, all in all, just a little disappointing, but I went full Hocevar last night, and you never go full Hocevar, so uh, I had speed and I didn't know how to handle it and drove like an asshole. So whatever, it's okay. We're moving on. How about your race? You had an eventful evening as well.
Yeah, definitely. I uh, I was probably running about third place speed for most of the night. Got to the lead at one point, but that was honestly more luck than anything because I had to come down pit road and fix some damage, and the caution came out like as soon as I changed my tires, so just put me in the lead. So got to lead some laps. Led the second most laps of the race, I guess. And then Jack and Dylan were coming and They got by me, and then that was after they got by me. That was when I realized how much speed you had, and I'm like, okay, well, Ben's obviously gonna pass me here pretty quick. I'm just gonna let him go and try to go get those guys because I would obviously much rather you win than them because they're kind of the two people
Yeah.
I'm fighting in the points. So, um, yeah, and then shortly after that, I think like 2 laps after I let you by, the caution came out. Um, I think we all pitted. I got a terrible restart, and then that put me behind
I
you.
saw
And
that. I saw that little
yeah,
blue dot fading away in my mirror on that
yeah,
restart pretty quickly.
it was the worst restart of the season for me. Two back to back actually. Like I had a bad one, and then that kind of caused it didn't cause, but it kind of set into motion a wreck in the tunnel turn with Donnelly. I think if I get a good restart there and people aren't all choked up, that doesn't happen. And then the next restart, I got a bad one, and then that was when I was like in between you and Judd, and your spotter, idiot of the week,
Mm-mm.
didn't tell you that I was there.
He
Um,
was too busy telling me some bullshit like that I'm losing on the car in front or something. Like we're in a
yeah,
pack together. He was telling me something. It was one of those just like useless things that those guys talk. And like
yes,
it was the most important time for me to have information about where the cars were. And he called that you were above me as I was sideways because I had already moved up thinking that I had room. I mean, I was trying to squeeze into a tight gap. We were racing hard, but
yeah,
I could have really used that information a slight bit earlier. Spotter, he's my idiot of the week as well because that was a mistake I feel like could have been avoided if we weren't talking about something else. Like this is not ideal or some bullshit that they were saying. I don't
yeah.
even know what it was, but he was saying something else when I needed really important information and probably shouldn't have
This
moved
is
up
not
when I did
ideal.
because I didn't have that information. But I was kind of banking on knowing where people were around me. So yeah, my apologies on that.
Yeah, and I mean, I was barely there, so I mean, also I could
Yeah,
have lifted, but
like I said we
um,
were tight, and I was
yeah,
trying to squeeze it in a tight cap, and obviously it's coming out of three down the front stretch too, so that's like the most
yeah,
important time to get in line, get the draft, get a good run. Like I was focusing on all that stuff, and
right.
just moved up when I shouldn't have.
But yeah, and speaking of shifting, the only reason why I was there is because I was shifting throughout the race when I was like passing somebody. That was the only time. I didn't know people were
Really,
doing. I didn't know people were doing that like throughout the run. So that was interesting to hear you say that you were doing that
I
throughout the
think for
run.
a while I might have been the only one. Like that
Yeah,
first run where I was passing a lot of people, I didn't hear. I heard a lot of people in low RPMs coming out of corners when I was the top end of third gear.
yeah.
Um,
I
so
was always
I,
doing it if I was like in a battle with somebody. But if I was or like if I was on the outside of turn one, I would do it and you could really hold your position there. I felt like a lot of people weren't doing that because um people were having a tough time passing me on the inside of turn one if I go to the outside because I was able to do that. Turn three also.
Dude,
Um
did we, like, smooth out the bump in turn 1, like, in the middle of the race? I swear, like, it was there for a good part of the race, and then, like,
yeah.
later in the race, I caught myself on the high side, and, like, I would
Maybe
think to
we were
myself,
just
like, "Oh, here
avoiding
comes
it
the
though.
bump." Maybe, like, I because I would think to myself, "Oh, here comes the bump," and then I wouldn't hit it, and it was in a line that I thought I hit it, earlier in the race, so I thought that was kinda interesting that, like, later in the race, like, I swear that thing we smoothed it out or something because it
I
was
don't know.
it was weird. I wasn't hitting it late in the race in certain spots where I felt like I hit it earlier in the race. Like you said, I may have just split it right down the middle of my
Right.
car or something, but it seemed like more of an issue early on than it did late for some reason.
That bump just like destroys the racetrack. Like if
God,
you
it
can't,
it
you
it
have to be
freaking
able to run
and it
that
just
second
kicks
one.
you to the wall.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but so after that damage, rode around in the back, hoping for cautions, got the car fixed with like 5 to go, and restarted 13th, drove up to 8th. So I guess that's good. I believe that equals my worst finish of the season, or actually no, it's not as bad as my worst finish of the season. So could be worse. I was on like a 4 race top three streak, a 5 race top three
Mm.
streak, so that I wanted to keep that going. But all in all, I guess it could have been a lot worse. I think that pretty much puts the nail in the coffin for the championship, although it's not mathematically out yet, but um,
Yeah.
it's basically out. So
Yeah. So on that note, we can run through our top five here. So Jack
yeah,
brings home the win. He does it in classic Jack fashion, where he runs the fastest lap, leads the most, and qualifies on pole. Uh,
fourth time he's done
Shocker
that this
there.
season. Yeah,
Yep. He ran an average of 2.1 the entire race, so he was just up there where he needed to be. Uh, you know, doing doing all the right stuff and managed to bring it home. He beats out Dylan by about 2.5 seconds there. Those two were pretty much the front for most of the
yeah.
race. Uh, you know,
They were
some
the
good
class of the
racing.
field. It was gonna be if we got like a proper long run, it was gonna be them two out front, and then you come in with a full head of steam, and probably Austin too, which we'll talk about in a minute. But um,
Yeah,
they were gonna be out front, and you and probably Austin were gonna have to get by them. That's what I saw at least. But
yeah. Our third place Christian, he ran a good race. He was kind of all over the place. It feels like back and forth throughout the field, and at the right place, right time, got himself up to third, and got a really good finish there. Um,
yeah,
at the end, which is
Didn't he pit like with 5 to go? Or
yeah,
no?
he had um
How did that happen?
I don't know. He was on some weird strategies all night. One of the times he tried to stay out. It might have been like one of the second to last restarts where he had to pit because he stayed out. I know that he took two tires on the last stop, and that's why he restarted in the lead, I believe.
Huh.
Um, but yeah, he like I said, he was kind of bouncing all over the place. Average running position is 7.6, so that kind of tells the story right
Yeah.
there that he was some high, some low, and good on him to really muscle through and get that back up to third place to finish well and do really well in his point standing, which is what he needed.
Yeah, I didn't really race around him a whole lot yesterday, but I do know he was on some wacky strategy, so good on him to
Yeah,
get third. Yeah.
absolutely. Let's see, fourth place, the return of Austin Bloom. Finally, we got him back,
Yes.
and a good run by him. Like you said on that first long run and whatnot, it was Austin and I were really charging through. Getting up there, I felt like I was able to get by him and felt like I was definitely faster than him on the long run, but we both had some speed there. Another notable that's not in the top five that had a lot of speed on that same run was BC. He kind of just followed me up as I was working my way through and stayed about a second and a half behind me. And, I think we were the guys long run who were
Yeah.
the ones to kind of watch out for because we were able to kind of crawl through the field and make some passes. So, but a good race by Austin coming back. Um, Good clean race for him too. Just good racing all night. Every time that I was around him, kept it clean and we had some really good battles. So yeah, great job by him there.
Yeah, I think after kind of a controversial first half of the season, let's say, I think this was a great race for him. Like you said, yeah, kept it clean. And kind of shut everybody's mouth up. So that's good. Yeah, fourth
Yeah, I was
place for
happy to
him.
see him back and happy to see him have a good result. So
Yeah,
hopefully he can keep that going. And then I believe I saw it last night. I meant to check it, but I believe that in fifth place, I think Cody got his first top five of the
that is
season. It
accurate.
sounded
Yeah,
like.
he may
Good
he
for
may
him. That
have
was
one listed on the stats from like the All Star, but
You're right. He does have two
yeah.
listed,
So
but
that
yeah,
is
but
that's from the All Star. So
a good run by him. Another guy who was just up and down all race. Average running position 10.9 to get that up to fifth. It was just fantastic by him.
yeah, he was another one where I didn't really race around that much, so I don't know have I don't have a lot to talk about from his race, but yeah, you said it with the average running position to come back in fifth. That's a great run. So yeah, good job, Cody.
Yeah, yeah, he had an up and down night. Yeah, I know him and I raced hard at one point. I kind of got into him. I threw a block. He got into me. It was one of those, like I said, the racing gods, the karma. I gotta be able to take what I dish out. So, we had some good little splits there. One of them was when he got into me. Like I said, I threw a block on him. I think going into three or something like that, and he gave me a big old shove, and that one gave me some rear damage. I think that for some reason, some like the slightest bit of rear damage just changed the entire feel of the car for me
Oh
on
yeah,
one of the runs there. So, um, you know that that's wild at Pocono how much just the slightest little bit of damage can make you drag and feel a little off. But yeah, he put a good run together there. Started 13th, finished fifth. Got his first top five of the season. Good stuff and a good run by Cody there to bring that home and round out our top five.
Yeah, so let's get into the Combs polls.
Oh boy.
I'm interested to hear. Let's do Idiot of the Week first because it sounds like you have some apologies to make.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I managed to clean house on
I
that
didn't
vote there.
realize. I mean,
You
I
know,
was kind of upset, not necessarily with you, but just the situation with the spotter.
yeah,
Which is why I didn't vote for you. But you got 8 votes for Idiot of the Week.
right, yeah.
What happened?
You know, well, let's see. I don't know why
Okay,
Dan
well,
voted
Dan
that, so
voted. He wasn't even in the
he can get out of
race.
here. Um, and I'm sure I had a couple run-ins with Judd. Judd and I talked about our last wreck at the end there. I had a little wiggle on the exit of three, and that wiggle did the old thing where as I'm trying to save it and straighten it out, while also trying to just keep as tight as I could to Judd because, like I said earlier, that exit of three is just so important to get a run and to stay with guys. And if you come off side by side, you're going to want to stay as close to them as possible, get that side draft,
Hmm.
and try to get that run down the straightaway as much as possible. So that's kind of what was happening. Was I came off the corner and was trying to hug right on his quarter panel as tight as I could. I had a little wiggle to get loose, and that's what got him around. And when I spoke with him about it, he also was like, "Hey, I was kind of crowding you because I thought I was closer to Donnelly than I was. We were almost three wide, kind of like
Okay.
at a little angle. One of those things coming off the corner.
Yeah.
So it was. So Judd and I are good there. We talked about that. Had a little discussion about that. Um, yeah, he said he was just kind of crowding me because of he was unaware of how close he actually was to Donnelly, and then I was also trying to do the same thing. So just a matter of just being too close. I got him around that brought out. I think that was the last caution, um, and so that was probably one there. That's probably where a couple of those came from. And then yeah, the others was probably like I just getting into Cody, little love tap,
Hmm.
which he got me back for, and then just a couple other people who, I mean, I was just racing. I was racing hard all night, man. I felt
Yeah.
really good. I felt like I belonged at the front, and I wanted to be there, and just drove a little over my head. So well deserving. I have no problem taking it. I mean, I think I even voted for myself.
You
So
did.
well deserved there for for that. Whatever. I think I joked with you last night that I'm like, dude, I'd feel like I could have swept the damn polls.
Yeah.
Had I had a good finish, I could have gotten driver of the week, tough
Yeah,
luck, and the
definitely.
freaking idiot of the week. You know.
If you were in the top
So
10, I probably would have even voted for you for driver of the week because
yeah. So
the speed you had was immense.
yeah, it was awesome, and like I said, very disappointing to not take advantage of that. But hey, whatever. Yeah. So idiot of the week, like I said, well deserved. I don't mind it. It's not like I do this often, so
Right.
I'm good for about one of these a season or a half of a season. So
Yeah.
it happens. Um,
Well,
and
the
yeah,
the
you
Ben
know.
Dunn shotgun video will be coming soon, hopefully. Not
Oh
last night,
god, I
unfortunately.
thought it was last night too, man. I
Yeah.
wanted it. Like I said, dude, I've never felt like if that entire race went green, I feel like I could have dominated, and I never get to feel like that.
Yeah. Um.
Um,
So
so now, yeah, we'll parlay that into driver of the week, uh, which was a tie
yeah, it
actually.
was. Um.
So it was Cody and Jack tied at 4 votes apiece.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
Cody to come up and finish fifth. That's a great
yeah,
result. I don't really know how
to
he.
drive through all that.
Yeah.
What's the word that they always use for Truex? Adversity.
Ah, yes,
Faced a lot of adversity
he did.
and and still managed to come out with the top five. So that's a good drive. I think I voted for Austin just because he ran such a good race, kept it so
Yeah.
clean. But if I was to just pick between the two, if it was down to the two guys who were tied, Jack has enough of these. I would have definitely voted for Cody
Yeah.
for the drive that he put together.
Definitely. Yeah, I think Jack had the most outright speed all night over the course of like a 25 lap run for sure. and that's kind of the longest runs we really got to see. So, um,
I wanted
beyond
I
that,
wanted 91 laps.
yeah, beyond that, it could have been a lot different had we had long runs, but he
Yeah,
was he was pretty good last night. And then for tough luck, um,
another tie.
another tie. Yeah,
Yourself and Judd,
me and Judd. So I don't I think both of those were related to you. I think.
probably.
So yeah, and Dan's voted on all of them. That's so funny. He
Yeah,
hasn't
Judd
raced
Judd definitely more so. I
probably
think as
because he
far
was
as
caught up in a
related to
few.
me, yeah, and also he was in a good spot at the end when he got turned. So,
Yeah,
I know that you were as well when everything happened there with um, yourself and Roten. I think there was a lot of and whatnot going on there that kind of led to that one. I kind of forgot how that one unfolded.
so
Um,
I watched it back, and basically, like, I think Judd lifted early into three, and that then you got into the back into him, and I think that like set it all off because he went high, but he still got in front of you, and then because you were checked up from that, I was able to barely get on your outside. So I
yeah.
think it was, I mean, it was a cluster, but
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Especially like, we're all it's all a lot of these things took place in turn 3 where the focus is just get me a good exit.
yeah,
So guys are braking earlier. That was a couple times that I got into people was just not expecting, like when I hit Cody and kind of sent him through the corner a little quicker than he wanted. It was simply a matter of I didn't expect him to break when he did, but obviously, that's the right strategy because you got to get that really good exit. You got to focus on that really good exit.
yeah,
It's the most important thing. So like I get exactly what happened there. It was just a misjudgment for me on when guys would be braking and my braking zone being a lot later, especially when I was downshifting because I had the engine braking to help me
yeah.
get to the speed I needed. Um, so just yeah, just bad judgment there for me there, in regarding a lot of situations last night. But Cody wound up finishing well.
He
Judd,
did.
not so much. Sorry, Judd. But like I said, Judd and I had a talk, and I'm sure I'll just keep an eye on my bumper when Cody's around. Whether we'll find out whether he's over it with his good finish or not. You know,
I would say he probably is. Um,
hopefully, I can only hope.
Speaking of Judd, though, and we can move into the points. Judd is only 9 points behind yourself. Um, it's still pretty close in the midfield. Christian has made a lot of gains on Owen. Um,
Yeah, you're
for
right.
that
Holy
for that
cow!
fourth place spot. So that's definitely going to be one to watch. 4 races to go. Good tracks for both of them, I think. Christian can have some pretty solid runs on these mile and a halves, and obviously Talladega can anything can happen there. Talladega Owen is the most recent winner there, so and I believe that's where Christian won a race as well. So
I think you're right.
I
I
think
think you're
Christian's
right.
won at Talladega and Bristol. So um,
And like kind of similar to what we say when we go to Watkins Glen. Like this track has been around for so long. I mean, I dare to say that at 16 races there, dare I say that this might be the track that we've run the most, I think. So
uh,
it's one of the ovals that
13 on
everybody is
the
the most
oval, I
familiar with.
believe. 14 on the oval.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I forgot to include the roval or to exclude the roval, should I say.
yeah.
Um,
But still,
so
that's
yeah,
a
so I
ton
mean,
of races.
yeah, absolutely. That's yeah, we've had a lot of races. It's been in every
Every season,
season,
yeah.
actually. Yep.
At least
And
once
even
every
made
season.
like an all-star appearance because there's some seasons where it's doubled up.
Yep.
So, um, yeah,
Yeah, people
that's gonna be one to
have a
look
lot of
forward to for sure.
experience. So in your points position, do you feel like you can catch Combs? 28 points behind.
I got to
He's
do a
gonna
lot of
need a
work, man.
mistake. Yeah.
If I look, if I can get more races like last night where I feel like I can beat the two of them, and I managed to do so, yes, maybe I can crawl back up to sixth, maybe get a shot at fifth. But I felt like last night was really, really important for me, especially with the speed that I had where I should have finished. I think it was a huge blow for me to take the points position that I took.
Yeah.
Um, You know,
Yeah, it ended up
it
being a
sucks,
drop
but
for you last week or last night.
yeah. So I mean, I guess technically, I guess I gained 4 points because
Yeah,
I got a six back, but still, you know, look, the four tracks that we're finishing on are four tracks I feel really good at.
yeah,
So all I can do is go out and just try to do what I did last night and just try to be quick enough to compete and hope for the best and hope these guys make mistakes or that I'm able to beat them. I'm pretty much going to be focusing on just beating them and Judd, um, and and that's that. You know, I don't know that I'll have the speed to win at any of these races coming up. Maybe Talladega. I feel like I'm a pretty good plate racer.
yeah,
Uh, so so there's that. I love Richmond, but Charlotte, Kansas. You know, the mile and a half. So I've had I feel like I've had top five ish speed all season, even though I haven't capitalized it. But you know, it's all going to be a matter of how the race plays out, strategy, all that good stuff. So we shall see. I do feel good going to the Charlotte though, because it's one of my favorite tracks.
yeah. I always have like a weird feeling going into Charlotte. Um, I feel like I'm not very good at it, but I was looking at stats and I have a solid like record there, so um, we'll see. Um, average finish
And it
of
will be a night race,
6.7.
full night race, no sunsets,
That will help.
full on.
Yeah, that'll help a person like me because I thought I was good on tires, but at mile and a halfs apparently I am not compared to like Hoffman and Strucker. So, um,
Well, this is a tough one too because it's a front right destroyer. It's one of those mile and a halfs where it's sometimes a little tough to get the car over on the right rear.
yeah,
So it's a bit bumpy. So it can definitely be a front right destroyer, and it's going to be. I think that's going to be the most important thing is managing that front right throughout the race because you know, especially with it being nighttime, the track's gonna be a little faster. Everybody's gonna be getting after it, and I think there's gonna be a lot of destroyed right fronts. You know, on these pit stops. So if we get long runs at Charlotte, it is one of our longest. It's our longest mile and a half of the season at 134 laps, 200 miles. It's the length of just a normal truck race.
yeah,
You know, that'll be interesting to see what happens strategy wise because four sets tires for that many laps. You know,
hmm
we have some early cautions and some guys are going to have some decisions to make. And we may get an early read on what you know blank amount of tires on your laps gives you as far as grip. I think I'm going to be looking forward to that if we have those to kind of see who's doing what on what strategy. It's a long enough race where if you do make the wrong decision early and you see that someone else that had 9 or 10 laps on their tires stayed out and they didn't get hurt too bad, it's definitely something you can stash away for later in the race and try to sit on that extra tire set. I feel like we always go for try to sit on the extra tire set for the late restart.
yeah,
Um, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. Last night I didn't go for that strategy at all. I was getting tires when I could.
yeah.
Um, Kind of the old Kevin Harvick. I just want to be on attack at all times. I don't want to be defending
But yeah, last
and
night was
trying to sit
so
on a tire set I might not ever use. Right.
yeah, last night was so track position dependent too. Um, last
Unless you
season
made 22 passes, then
on the long run you could do that, but like on a 10 lap run or something, it was pretty difficult. Although that was not the hardest track to pass we've had this season. Like,
no.
and that was kind of surprising to me. I would have expected it to be a little bit more difficult, but like Iowa was
It
definitely
was
harder
it,
to pass. Phoenix was definitely harder to pass.
it was a
Um,
lot of like if you could just get the person in front of you to have slightly a bad entry into one and you keep it on the yellow line, you can make passes.
yeah,
Going into two, it was literally just a game of chicken. It would be a drag race to two and see you know, you're side by side who would lift. There weren't really
yeah,
many passes, but I had a lot of opportunities where I was able to get through two better than people and set up a really good pass going into three. So that was, you know, there were definitely opportunities to pass last night. A lot of them, you know, just a matter of like thinking it out, doing it at the right spot, waiting for the right time, waiting for the person in front of you to make mistakes. All those things kind of combined, and it was definitely able to pass. I think Charlotte's kind of got to be the same way.
yeah,
Of you got to just follow behind someone and be patient, hope they make a mistake, or wait for a lane to open and kind of stick your nose in there and you know go for it.
yeah. Last season Charlotte was quite the entertaining race. That was the one where Cody was basically gonna win, and then there was a caution with like two to go, and or yeah, I believe it was two to go. I think we had a couple of overtimes, and Austin went up there and stole it. So, um, previous winner there was Austin, and then the two before that was Owen and Owen. So, and before that was
Hmm.
Dylan. So,
A
um,
lot of and a lot of, I'm looking through the stats here. A lot of, as far as our guys who have a lot of starts on this track, I would say a lot being, more than, about half of the total. The max starts is 16. So Owen's got 16. He's got an average finish of 4, so he's pretty good there. Um, Dylan has 8. His average finish is 3.9. So in all of Dylan's starts, he's also had some really good runs there.
yeah,
Yourself, you have 12 starts. You're sitting at a 5.3.
that's
Nick
including the
Sargent
Roval though.
5.9. Hopefully we can get Nick back. That is including the Roval. You're right. Hopefully we get Nick back. He seems to be. He's always pretty good at Charlotte. He's
Yeah,
just good at the mile and a half in general.
he won
Um,
season 6 there, which I believe was the Xfinity car. Was it not? It was.
uh, should be. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Um, so yeah, like, you know, I, man, I'm looking forward to it. It's a great track. Like I said, it's been a staple on the schedule. We always go there. And it just happens to be right after the actual Charlotte race. Definitely planned and not by accident, just like everything else this season.
Yes. Amazing mods for that. Um, I believe Jack can clinch the championship next week, although it is
Nice,
unlikely. Um,
nice,
I'm gonna have to
nice.
do the math. I'll send that out before the race and send all the scenarios. I think if Dylan and myself have a terrible night and he wins with the most points, then he would probably clinch it. But it's looking like it'll probably be Talladega when he clinches it, and that's a hell of a
Now,
place.
since we've kind of combined our standings and we've already kind of talked a little bit about a Charlotte preview, I want to just go back to the standings real quick. So there's
Okay.
a couple other things that I'm also looking at that are below. We talked about the midfield battle at 4th to 8th, where things are kind of spicy. In there, I think a couple other ones that we can pay attention to here. If we look a little further down, there are still some guys competing to gain some spots in these last couple races. So I look specifically at 10th and 11th, Roten and Cody.
Mm,
Roten's been having some pretty good runs. He ran really well last night.
yeah.
Was in the top 5 for a good chunk of one of those runs. Um, and he got track position pitting, kept it, and ran really well. There's always something about the home races that you just kind of get up for a little more, right?
Yeah.
Like I always
The
do
few
well at
extra
Dover.
tenths.
Cody does well at Dover. Roten performing well at Pocono. It's funny how that works, where the guys who's their home tracks. Could we call Judd's home track Iowa? Maybe he runs well there. Christian
Mm,
runs well at Iowa. It's kind of funny how everybody seems to get up for the home races. Roten did a little bit of that last night. I know that I don't think he had the finish that he probably wanted. Where did he finish? Yeah, he finished.
Roten.
Yeah, right in front of me. So he didn't have the finish he wanted, but he had a good run. And even though the finish doesn't show it, that's good. But I think Cody's 16 points behind him, and Cody's riding momentum now of this top 5 finish, heading into a bunch of tracks that he's familiar with because he's been here for a while. So the combination of Roten improving a lot this season and getting a lot better, and Cody heading into a stretch where he knows a lot of these tracks and is usually pretty good. I look forward to that battle between those two. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And then right behind them, a whole about 20 points or so behind, you have Austin hanging out.
Yeah.
And Austin just returned. Austin's a guy who's fast at Charlotte, good at plate racing. I feel like he's fairly good at Richmond and is fast at Kansas. So he's about to bring himself up into that mix there. And then you tack on the guys right below. You got Nick and BC who are going to be kind of battling for some points there. Travis in the mix there, only 5 points or 4 points behind Nick. So like there's some places all throughout the standing where people are going to be racing for points for the rest of the season, which it's going to be a lot of fun because a lot of the guys who are battling each other are guys who've kind of been around each other all season, with
Yeah.
the exception of Austin, who just had a series of missed races, which is why he's so far down there. But I think that's going to be pretty cool to keep an eye on. That we don't just have a lot of jostling going on in the middle. We have those guys at the bottom, and even Hoff can make a run at you. So I mean,
Yeah.
like things are spicy, and I like it. I like it. This is one of the better point standings all the way throughout that I've seen. Since we've been doing this.
Yeah. I think Hoffman is probably the battle I'm more concerned about because, like I said a few weeks ago, this would be like my 4th in a row of being second or better. So, um, while I can't really win the championship anymore, I definitely want to take second. So, Um, I think Hoffman probably is going to have more speed than me generally on all these tracks. Maybe Richmond. I feel like I'm pretty good there, but he's obviously really good at Talladega and Charlotte and Kansas. So I definitely have my work cut out for me. But um,
In our time, in our times that we've had all of these Charlotte races, a lot of times we have done a lot of laps there. So they've been some of our longer races.
mhm,
Typically, we kind of have always done that to mimic the Coke 600 being the longest race this season. Um, there's only one race where we hit double digit cautions. That was in season
mm,
3. The race that Dan managed to win, we had 11 cautions. Other than that, we don't have any double digits. Season 11, we had 8, and that is the next closest that we get. Other than that, we have a couple sixes, 4, 2, 3, and then we have a caution free race in season 9. So it's going to be something to keep an eye on where how many cautions are we going to have? Are we going to have a higher number? I think last night we definitely had more than we expected.
yeah,
So could that be the theme heading into Charlotte? Could that be a lot of things, the things people are keeping in mind as far as strategy goes and whatnot? I know for me, seeing the lower number of cautions, I'm probably going to opt for the strategy that doesn't try to sit on a set of tires that I might need later, right?
right.
I'm going to go for track position and fresh tires whenever I can because history tells us a lot of single digit cautions. We might not have a lot now. Car counts are up, and there's battles all throughout the field, so that'll mix things up a little bit. But I'm gonna hopefully bank on the average. The average is at 5. Average cautions per race is at 5 for all of our oval starts. So that's
It's
pretty good on
pretty
us, to be
low,
honest.
yeah,
For considering it's typically our longest race of the year, that is pretty good on us. One thing that was interesting, I know it was the trucks, but last season we had 20 lead changes throughout the entire race. That's pretty
yeah. The
wild.
most at that track.
Um, yeah, and then the last time we were in this car, I believe season 4 was Xfinity, so we had 19 in that race as well. So it's possible there with the way this with this car, we've had a history of that with 19 in one race in season 4. That's quite impressive, and
Yeah,
I did just confirm that was the Xfinity car. So we got it in us. A lot of double digit lead changes in the race, so I think this could get interesting. Um, you know, when you see double digits, that's more than just uh, green flag pit stops and whatnot, right? That's racing on the track, man. Like some of the ones you see 7, 8, that could be caution or green flag pit stop changes. But when you see those double digits, we're racing, man. We've had quite a few of those 16, 13, 13, 19, 12, 10, 20, 12. So I expect some good racing this week, man.
yeah. I'm excited. Before we move on to our special announcement, I believe we actually have a caller on the line.
Oh,
Um,
do we?
yeah, we do. Let's see if we can get him in here.
Oh yes, absolutely. I see who you're talking about. The lines are blinking like crazy. Let's get him in here. Give me 1 second. Zach Roden, you're on the air. Welcome.
Howdy, howdy.
What's up, buddy? Mr. Pennsylvania himself here. How you doing?
Yeah.
We were just talking about you.
Oh, I'm sure only the best.
It actually was. I
Oh,
would never do anything other than that.
well, I'm touched.
What's on your mind
Well,
this morning, Roten?
I just wanted to come on and say that, all things considered, that was a pretty damn good race. I thought
yeah.
Pocono I think it's always a really enjoyable track. Um, I know I had pretty fucking shitty race, all things considered. Some of that my own fault, some of that just bad luck. But I thought it was all around really enjoyable. I thought everyone put in a really clean effort. I think it could have gotten a lot messier considering how usually pretty Pocono could be a hard track to handle. So just wanted to
Mhm.
call it and commend the field.
Hey, you know what? We love that. We love to hear that.
Yeah, I think
Um,
some of the wrecks that we did see was just a product of how how tight the track is, and how important track position was early in the runs. Like you really had to like force moves on people, and yeah, it just got a little bit too close sometimes. But Roden, you had a pretty good run going there until the melee started with like 30 to go.
Yeah, I got in I think it's the decline from grace sort of started. I got clipped on that one accident where you got spun down on the track and I tried to go left instead of right. So that gave me like 30 something seconds of damage. So that sent me to the back. And then once I was in the back, I was trying to make my way back up the field, and I ended up 3 wide with Judd and Travis. And coming out of turn one, Travis sort of tapped the wall a bit and it sent him towards me, which then sort of TP'd all of us on top of each other. That put me with like 4 minutes of damage, and that sort of ended the race from there. Could get all that fixed by the end.
We were just talking about before we got you in here. I was just bragging about how the guys who typically once, when it's their home race, guys get up for their home race. Did you feel like you had a little extra motivation or a little extra adrenaline going because it was your home track?
Hmm.
Yeah, well, that also I've been sick the last couple days. I don't know if you can hear the mucus-filled bag of
Yeah, you
snot that
sound
I
gross.
currently am. But
Yeah.
yeah, I put a couple of hours of practice in on Monday, and then a little bit before the race on Tuesday just to try to get ready. And I thought I had a good sort of sense on how to save the tires in the long run, sort of similar to you. I was actually, once you got ahead of me with like 40 something laps to go, I was sort of following you, especially on turn two, because I had turn one down pretty much in terms of how to best tire save, but turn two was giving me a lot of fits. So I was following you a bit on that, and I thought that if I could have gotten a long run after that sort of second round of pit stops, I thought I had a really good chance to pull out maybe like a top five, but top three.
You say that turn two gave me problems later in the run. Early on, I like my braking zone and my line and everything was really good, but then as the tires wore, like I just felt like I was overshooting it on every time, and then I'd try to adjust, and I'd still feel uncomfortable. And I think I was just trying to take it too fast, and just needed to focus on my line and carry speed through there. Um, but yeah, you had that good run going. You were running top five for quite a while on part of that run. I mean, you were hanging out like third place for quite a while. I know that as the run went on, you got past, but still hanging up there. You got that track position through a pit stop, I believe, and got out and did a good job of hanging on there. So I know the result doesn't show, how well you ran, but I think you ran a really good race last night.
Yeah, and I'm doing this all just for the viewers at home, setting up so that
Mm.
we have a battle now for 11th through 9th that I think me, Cody, because Cody got like a top five, me, Cody, and Donnelly now are only divided by
Yep.
like 20 something points.
Yeah. We were
So
just talking about that too, man. Wow, you're just reading our minds here.
yeah, it's like I'm fucking listening to all of you secretly or
Yeah.
something.
He's
Yeah.
on the
Well, I hope
live
not.
show.
Yeah.
I'm actually
he's
here. I'm
tapped our he's
fun.
tapped our lines.
Woo!
Well, Roden, we got Charlotte, Talladega, Richmond, and Kansas coming up. Like you said, you're in that kind of points battle, hoping to get up into ninth. What of those four tracks are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm worried about Charlotte. I've never been good at Charlotte. I don't
Mm.
know why. I don't think I could ever figure out how to tire save there. Especially I feel like I just kill my tires really bad in 3 and 4 always. I don't know how to sort of enter properly there to save tires. Talladega, I always feel really good about. I think I do. Usually, if you look at probably my average finishes, I probably am better on average at super speedways than I am at a lot of other tracks. So I think I could piece together a top 10. That's sort of been sort of my goal this season is a top 10 final season standing. That would be probably the best I've ever performed in my career. And I think that's sort of a good launching pad for going in the next season if I could wrap this up with the top 10 points.
Good stuff, dude. Well, look, I'm gonna be rooting for you. I've been hyping up your season all along, so uh, don't let me down. And just keep doing what you're doing. I think you've had a great season. I think you've shown improvement just about every single track. So I think you just
Yeah.
put in the work like you have, and Charlotte will come to you for sure.
Oh, well, I
You
appreciate it,
might go
guys.
back with a whole different feeling there because like I said, you've been running well at just about every track you may have struggled at in the past. So this could be a time for you to turn around at Charlotte, especially got a little juice in you to get some points racing going here. So good luck with everything, and I hope the best for you, brother.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to that point now where, like, and I've sort of realized this in the last couple races where it was when I sort of started the season, it was a big focus on speed, which I think a lot of guys sort of at maybe my skill level or just sort of due to league are sort of at
Hmm.
first struggling with the speed. But now it's sort of coming down to the things that get me now are like the minor mistakes. Like the one thing that popped into my mind at Pocono was like going on the pit road just a little bit slower and losing and like sliding a bit into the box, not
Yeah.
like overshooting it, just being like maybe 2 or 3 miles per hour slower on pit road was all the difference between like Judd passing me on pit road and not getting past the pit road. And that's like a whole spot, which is
Yeah.
huge at Pocono.
Yeah.
So there's
Well,
sort of
and then add
smaller
that up
things
over
now.
a couple pit stops, right? And then
Right.
if that happens during the green flag, that's even more, even more important when everybody's at speed to not lose that time. So
Yeah.
those little things matter, man, and
Definitely.
that's huge to realize and clean that up.
Yeah. So that's been sort of the thing I guess I'm going to start moving into in my next, rest of the season, going into the next season, is sort of trying to tidy up and clean up those smaller things as they sort of increasingly mean more and more.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, good stuff so far this season. Have a good, strong finish to the end. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, give me a good Fox rant after this, will you?
I don't have, I don't have much of one, to be honest. I unfortunately
I feel
didn't
like
miss all. I missed most of it. We were working on Sunday.
Ah,
we'll
you didn't
see.
miss much.
Yeah.
I
I have
think they
one
were
topic.
okay.
I have one topic, and that's it.
All right, go
Not
give
much of
me
a
give me a
rant,
good like
unfortunately.
Amazon Prime prediction then.
Oh yeah.
We're
Excited for
definitely gonna
that.
make our picks going into next week and going forward. So we'll see what we can do.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Zach.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, see ya.
So last but not least, when we're talking CRS, I believe you have some special news to drop for us for everybody in the league.
Yes.
Little collaboration and future going forward.
Yes, very
Return of
excited.
something. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Very excited for this. Some of you will know obviously about the ZGP. We've had 2 seasons, and it's kind of been its own Discord. I was trying to like recruit other people, but outside of the league, but that hasn't gone super according to plan. It's mostly been CRS people anyway. So we're gonna start running on Wednesdays starting next week in the off season at Judcar, so we can get some Wednesday action going. I know people love the Wednesday Judcar stuff, and so we're gonna be doing some ZGP here, all in the CRS Discord. It's gonna be the return, which I'm excited for because I never got to do this, of TCRS. So yeah, we're gonna be in the TCRs. We got an exciting schedule. Some tracks that all of us should own, because we got some rovals that all of us have never raced on. So, but they are pretty simple to learn, and I think there'll be some good racing, some good drafting on some of them, and then we got a few mixed in there that are kind of just known for being good racetracks for a car like the TCR. So, yeah, super excited about that. Starting next week, CRS times, 7:30 Eastern. The session will open, and then we will go green or we'll start qualifying at 8:30, and then we'll have a 10-minute sprint and a 25-minute feature. So pretty excited about that.
Yeah. And I'll come in here on the back end and talk about all the technical Discord crap. Everything will go live. ZGP will now be a built-in channel like it is with Judcar. I will have that go live tonight so that everybody that listens to the pod hears it first before everybody else realizes it. We'll throw a little announcement together when we open up a channel and everything. But got a good little schedule flyer that's going to go in there so everybody can plan their schedules. I think you already made everything on Sim Racer Hub, so that's great.
Yep.
I know personally I look forward to it. I was excited when you pitched the idea of TCRs coming back because very few remember TCRS, but it was a great time here. It was just like a Monday night screw around. We had some short little mini seasons, and then it eventually turned into like 3 or 4 guys. So I'm hoping we got more people in here. We got more action on Tuesdays. We can also get some more action on Wednesdays. Judd Carr always has a good, decent number of people coming out. I'm excited to see the alternating schedule between a ZGP season, a Judd Carr season, and going back and forth on our Wednesdays. I'm excited with all that. Looking forward to it. Having everybody under the same umbrella here. Yeah, another thing that you touch on, your sprint and your feature race both pay points.
Yes.
Is an important thing to keep in mind. So those sprint races will mean something. And I look forward to a nice season-long battle in TCRS, ZGP, 80 letters involved, whatever. I look forward to it, dude. I'm pumped.
Yeah, 12 races. no drop weeks, so just make it when you can.
Yep.
But yeah, it's gonna be fun. The TCR is like pretty easy to drive. I would say it's only tricky like in a high speed corner section.
Yeah,
Um,
that front wheel drive part.
yeah, but there's honestly not a whole lot of high speed corners on the schedule. I actually
Yeah.
replaced some tracks because some of the corners were a little bit sketchy, but um, it should be fun. Everybody will get to uh, really properly race without worrying about like wrecking the car, which has kind of been an issue in ZGP in the past with like a rear wheel drive car, like we did the Formula Ford, and it was pretty tricky. So um, people get to race, we'll get to trade some paint, and
Yeah, cars race really well. You can lean on each other. They're a lot of
yeah,
fun.
very excited. So looking forward to that
I
next
look forward
Wednesday.
to it. Real quick, we got to wrap. We both are in a bit of a time crunch, so we'll quickly cover our NASCAR stuff.
Yep.
So we'll just lay it out as we'll just briefly talk about the All Star. I think it was better than both you and I expected.
Yeah.
We'll make our picks for Charlotte, and then we'll just throw a random indie pick in there because why not?
Ooh, okay. I
So
like it.
All Star race, I unfortunately missed a good handful of it just because we were working on Sunday. So by the time that I got home, it was late in the race, just before the I don't know, like 20 or 30 laps before the promoter's caution came out. But it seemed like from what everybody else was saying, like, and from what I saw, like at the end of the race, the track seemed to race really well for this car, which is rare at short tracks. It's pretty excited
Yeah.
to see that. And yeah, like I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think the Logano Bell stuff, whatever. I'll let all the people who really talk NASCAR dive into that. I think Joey was a little crazy. I think Bell raced him fine.
Yeah.
Good win by Bell.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the racing. I got to watch pretty much all the Cup action. Seemed like it was typical next gen at a short track, but it was a little bit better, um, especially on the long runs. But the clean air was definitely king, obviously, with this car. But this was probably like the best short track race of the next gen era, I would say, other than last year's
The
Spring
Bristol
Bristol.
anomaly.
Yes, but
Yeah.
that's obvious. Other than that,
Yeah.
this was it was pretty good. I thought the hype was there. The crowd, although it has like I don't know how many people fit in there, like 25,000 people or something, but it was packed.
Dude, I'll take smaller
Yeah,
seatings that are packed rather than, the giant empty seats. So
yeah,
I think it looks better that way.
it did.
You
The
know.
intros were kind of hokey. The promoter's caution was kind of hokey, but um,
Yeah, some drunk guy dropped the flag. Yeah.
yeah, that was. I mean, we got to touch on that. I don't. I was in shock when that happened. Like,
It was goofy as hell. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was really funny when Harvick was like, "Michael dropped the flag," and they're all like, "What?" And like the cameras are like on like fireworks, and
yeah,
like he's like, "No, Michael literally dropped the flag," and
yeah.
they
Mike
cut
was
to the
like, "Oh,
camera. It was like,
that would be hilarious," and Kevin's like, "No, it's on the
no,
racetrack."
yeah, and then they cut to that perfect camera that's just past the start finish line. That's that stable camera just past the line, and they cut to it, and it's just like the comedic timing of just right when they cut to it, the flag's laying on the track, and someone has to veer to avoid the flag laying on the
Yeah,
track. Like it just hilarious. Fox did a little. I guess I don't have much on Fox, but they in my opinion they kind of ruined this promoter's caution because they kept putting the camera on Mikey, and like
they went too early to Michael.
Mikey was signaling to the crowd like five more. So like everyone watching knew like, well, apparently he's giving them five more laps. Okay. So like,
Right.
had you not shown that and we not known that it was coming to five laps, maybe it would have been a little more of a
I probably,
wow. But
yeah, I probably would have liked if they didn't cut to Michael, and then we got like a fan video later, like videoing him.
yeah,
Like, oh damn,
yeah,
okay, that's cool. But yeah, I
yeah,
don't know. It
he
did
was,
seem
you know,
somebody I believe used the word last night when we were talking about it, but it seemed a little bit forced with all
yeah,
that. But
yeah,
also I don't know. If I were like an 8-year-old watching this, I would probably love it. To be fair, so
sure,
that's probably who it was for.
whatever, sure. Um, I don't have a Fox rant much.
I
I
don't
have
either,
more of a
man.
just
I felt like
don't let the ass hit you in the door on the way out type of deal. The only thing I have is the fucking pods move of the race. That was it. That was the only thing that bugged me. late in the race when it's like Logano and Bell are just going at it.
Yeah,
And it looks like they literally just like forgot to plug a sponsor and they were like, oh, the pod's move of the race. And I don't know if like Chastain was supposed to be the move of the race or what, but they showed someone who wasn't even like racing against anybody. And they're like, all right, and that's the pod move of the race. And then they cut back and Logano and Bell are already side by side and battling. And we missed like 3/4 of a lap of a battle at a short track, which we haven't gotten all season. We never have these. We never have
right.
close door to door battles at the short track. So, so that's all I got for Fox. I also think too with the Wilkesboro stuff, like I do think it was a good race. I think it was a good short track race, but I think also let's be careful about calling it like crazy, crazy, crazy good because we would have had a different story. I think had Logano not stayed out and been on those tires
Yeah,
and had that fight with him and Bell, and then he's holding up Bell, Chastain, and Bowman keep coming into the picture. Like, I think that maybe is a different story if they all are on the same tires. We maybe
that
don't get blessed with
100%.
this battle. It looks like Bell. I think Bell would have just driven away. To be honest, if he didn't have to deal with Logano, I don't think Bowman and Chastain had anything for him. So if we remove Joey from the equation and pretend they pit, I don't think we have that exciting of a finish. I don't think people are as ecstatic about the racing, although it was good throughout, from what I heard and from what I saw. Um, I think I think I think the tires strategy definitely helped make the ending a little more interesting. But hey, we're
Yeah,
going to Charlotte next week. That's what I'm excited about.
I hadn't really thought about this, but on Kevin's podcast, Mamba had a point like this track race a lot like IRP, and I super agreed with that because
Hmm.
with the progressive banking, like you can really make the high line work at IRP, and you can also
Yeah,
make the bottom work. Like
yeah, they're both wide.
that was kind of how this race, similar sizes too, I think. Um, but yeah, and that's a great racetrack. But yeah, when you have a multiple lane short track with the next gen, I mean, it's going to be pretty solid. As far as Fox, um, I actually thought it was pretty good. Like compared to our bar is set so low, and well, I was watching the race and I didn't really have a whole lot of critiques. They went side by side a lot in the commercials. They did a proper starting grid, which I've been yelling about for the past 10 weeks. Um, they didn't do this stupid like cutaway starting grid. They went through it. They said everybody's hometown, and that was it. It wasn't a big deal. It doesn't need to be. It's just a starting grid.
They waited till the end. They did that just for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, we got Prime coming up, which I'm
I'm gonna
super
rely
excited
on you
about.
on that. Yeah, I'm gonna rely on you for next week for the prime coverage because I will be at the race. So it's gonna be
Ah,
important for you
lovely.
to take the prime notes. I'm going to Charlotte. So
Yeah, I'll be.
um,
I'm gonna be in Houston with all my Houston friends. We're gonna have a nice motorsports Christmas. So, um,
what do you have pick wise? So we said this is when we're gonna start tracking it after the All Star. So
yes.
I'm gonna write it down and we're gonna actually track it.
And are we doing like
And
DBC style where you can't pick the same guy twice?
we can do that for the rest of the
Yeah.
season.
Okay.
All right.
Um. Yeah, and let's. I mean, I guess who's going? I'll go first this time, and then the worst finisher
Yeah,
goes first.
yeah, we'll let you go first
Okay.
and we'll go from there.
Um. Damn. There's so many good options.
There is a lot of good options.
I am gonna go with. I feel like there's an obvious one, but I'm gonna save him. I'm gonna go. I'll go Christopher Bell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was leaning towards. Dare I say you might have taken my pick there
Mm,
because I was kind of thinking the same thing.
momentum,
Um,
and they've been good all season. So
yeah, yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna make it interesting.
okay.
I think there's a guy out there who's had a somewhat decent season and has just had a lot of these late race spin slides, blah 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 blah. It's been a long time since we've seen him win. I think he's won this race in the past. I'm gonna take Kyle Busch
Oh, I would
to.
love to see that.
I'm gonna take Kyle Busch to shock everyone and get back into victory lane at the Coke 600. I couldn't think of a better place for him to do it. Um, and yeah, I think it would just be awesome. I think it'd be great to see it at Charlotte. I think it'd be fun because I would love to be in an environment where people are cheering a Kyle Busch win because I've never been in that environment in my life.
Yeah.
But I think he would get some applause if he won the race. I think
Oh
there'd be
yeah.
people happy. He's kind of had a bit of a turn from a heel to, people like him. So yeah, there's my pick, Kyle Busch. They've had mile and a half speed. He's just had some things that screw him up, and get him in bad spots late in the race. But I think if he avoids that, I think he has a real chance of going up and winning, and I'd love to see it.
Yeah, definitely. For Indy 500, I actually had to
Yeah,
pull.
who's your Indy 500 pick?
I had to pull the
We're gonna do
starting
that
grid
one
up
just for fun.
because I'm not super up on IndyCar. I mean, I know some people, but the person I would have picked had I not pulled the starting grid up. Actually, I'll
He's
let
a
you go.
cheater.
Huh? No, no, he's not a cheater. Uh,
uh,
I'll let you go first since I went first for Charlotte.
my pick, I'm going to go a little bit down the pack. I'm not going to take one of the top guys.
Okay.
Obviously, the Penske guys, Power and Newgarden are in the back. I think, Larson's starting 19th is really, really tough.
So how did
And
Scott McLaughlin get away with? He wouldn't?
I guess he wasn't one of the cheater cars, or when he crashed, he destroyed it and they couldn't prove that whether his car
Ah,
was cheating or not. I
okay.
don't actually know, but yeah, you're right. McLaughlin's up there. But my pick is going to go to the gentleman starting in eighth. I'm going to go Christian Lundgaard. I think he ran really well there last year. He's in a McLaren. McLaren's do pretty well there. So yeah, I'm going to go Lundgaard. He's teammates with Award, and Pato's obviously a beast there. But I didn't want to take the easy pick of Pato, so I went Christian Lundgaard.
Well, unlike you, Ben, I am gonna go with the easy pick.
Perfect. I
I'm
like it.
gonna go with.
We're putting money on McLaren.
I am gonna go with his teammate Patricio Award.
Love
Um,
it.
yeah, starting third. I think he gets ahead of the front two early, and it's all about track position there. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's. I think he finally gets his. Hasn't he finished second twice?
I think so, yeah. I think it was back to back second place, maybe. I don't know a lot about IndyCar, so I could
Yeah.
just be making that up completely. We probably should have had one of our IndyCar experts on if we were going to talk
Oh, that would have
IndyCar,
been
but
good. Maybe we'll get him on to
for the
break it
moment,
down.
whatever. There we go. Yeah, we'll get Judd or Christian in here on after the race to talk about it. So,
Yeah.
but I think I'm all wrapped up, man. Unless you got anything else about the great racing week ahead of us, I don't really care about Monaco anymore. Saturday is the best day of Monaco, in my opinion. The race itself. I mean, it'd be interesting. They're forcing pit stops and 3 sets of tires, whatever that means. I don't know. That's like F1's version of stage racing, I guess.
A little
But
bit, yeah.
yeah,
I will say, although Monaco is not always, or it, I would probably say never is the most exciting race. This is the last proper motorsports Christmas we're gonna have. So,
yeah. Someone last night said there's a rumor that they're going to move Canada to this date, which would
I'd
be kind
be,
of cool.
yeah, I'd be cool with that.
It'd be cool too. But
That's still, I'm
my
still gonna
problem there
call
is
it
that
motorsports Christmas.
my problem there is that we're putting an
Oh,
F1 race in the same time zone. So you're either going to have to choose between Indy or Canada,
damn it!
and
I didn't
then
think about that.
you can't put it later with obviously with daylight. So if they put Canada there, you're in the same time zone as the other races, and are you really going to put the Canada race on the same time as the Indy 500?
There's
You're not
no
going to
way
get
they're gonna
anything.
do that.
So
There's no way
that's the
they
beauty of
would be.
Monaco is it's at 9 in the morning, right? It's the first thing that kicks off the day. So if you're going to put a race on the schedule for F1, don't do Canada. Do one of the European tracks where we can at least watch it in the morning and roll right into the 500, and then roll right into the 600.
There's no way they would do that. Now that I'm thinking about it, right? I mean, there's
Yeah,
no way they would go up
yeah.
against the Indy 500. They're not that stupid.
No, you wouldn't do that.
I mean, I know
No.
they're like right now. I guess they are bigger than IndyCar in America, technically, like viewership wise. But
Yeah, but nothing's
You're
bigger than
not
the Indy
bigger than the
500.
Indy 500.
No.
There's no way. So
Yeah, they sold out. Last thing I'll end on, they sold out the grandstands. Apparently, 350,000 tickets,
good God.
seats sold for the grandstand, first time since 2016. I saw a cool stat on Twitter yesterday that means that on Sunday, 1 out of every 1,100 Americans will be at the Indy 500.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff. So
Racing is back.
look forward to a great Sunday, man. We're looking ahead to a great Sunday, and I can't wait for it.
Well, yeah, man. Let's wrap it up. We'll get on with our day. Thank you guys for watching. Merry Motorsports Christmas. Y'all enjoy the weekend. A lot of good racing. And we will be back here next week to talk about it all. So thanks for listening.
Yep, Idiot of the Week signing off.
See ya.
Peace.